This is an honor because it expands this debate. His childhood was in Tehran. His family is from south of Tehran in Isfahan, which is one of the most magnificent cities in the world, is a UNESCO heritage site. It is a city of culture and beauty, and of course, bombed this morning over nuclear matters. He has gone on to academics across all of the Middle East, including in Israel. Meir Javedanfar joins us this morning. Professor, thank you so much for joining us from Reichman University. What is next for Mr. Netanyahu?
Well, I think with the attack last night, it is President Trump who now has a very big say over events between Israel and Iran. And I think the prime minister will be watching what happens next, how Iran reacts, and how that impacts President Trump's Iran strategy, which last night terminated in basically bombing 3 major Iran nuclear sites. I think Prime Minister Netanyahu will wait to see what President Trump decides. But until then, Israel will use this opportunity to grind down Iran's military industrial complex, because this is a golden opportunity for Israel to ensure that in the future, Iran's drones, its missiles, and its what remains of its nuclear program no longer pose a threat to Israel's security.
Doctor, much of the discussion this morning, in addition to trying to assess the damage of the attack, is what happens next in Iran? Is there a reasonable scenario where there is regime change in that country? What's your view?
You know, if you look at history, regime change doesn't happen during war. If there's going to be a revolution, it usually happens afterwards. We saw it in the constitutional revolution of Russia, which happened after the Russo-Japanese War of 1904-1905. The Russian Revolution in February 1917 happened after World War I. So did the revolution that brought about the Weimar Republic in 1918 in Germany. And the last example I can think of was 1982, after General Galtieri of Argentina lost the war against Britain. Then he was overthrown and democracy was introduced. During wars, people are genuinely, and I can say this almost firsthand, talking to Iranians who have in Europe who have relatives in Iran, people in Iran are right now just too busy trying to survive this war. Prior to this war, inflation, food inflation was between 40 to 50%. Housing inflation was 84%. Just imagine what would happen in New York if yearly rents were bumped up every year by 84%. This is what's happening in Tehran. Now the situation is even worse. So Iranians are just trying to survive the current conditions until this war ends. And only after that, I think, if there is going to be an uprising, they will have they'll have the space to consider it.
One final question, if I could, Dr. Javedanfar, and it's just simple. We just heard from Ambassador Bolton that he pretty much predicts a regime change, a need for regime change. I don't see any optimism that we've executed regime change in Iran. Am I right on that? Could it be doable?
Well, on the one hand, Israel has been attacking symbols of the regime, not only the Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, but other units and organizations in Iran's judiciary that put down protests. But, so it is up to the people of Iran to do regime change. Regime change will only happen when you have millions of Iranians on the streets of Iran protesting and overthrowing this regime. Iran has a history of revolutions. There was a constitutional revolution in 1905, 1906. We had the 79 revolution. In Iran, people are active. There could be a better future for Iran. But we can also not rule out that this regime has something like 20% support of the 20% of the population. And, even if 10% of those go out afterwards and create a guerrilla warfare or create
Right.
instability, we're talking about 2 million people, 1.5 million people, they could cause serious damage. So as much as we all desire a better future for Iran, the road from here to a successful democracy to Iran is paved with many dangers,
Right.
including also, let's not forget the experience of overthrowing regimes in Syria, Libya, and in Syria, which took 10 years and 500,000 dead people.